Are you feeling just exhausted of your lack of self-esteem and not feeling on top of things? Well, today I'm going to go through why your nutrition is so important to your self-esteem. Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset with me, Johnny Pardo, here to help you boost your self-esteem, confidence, and manage that negative self-talk. So nutrition, what does that have to do with self-esteem? Well, I'm going to go and explain shortly. But examples from my life I can include. I've been in places where I just didn't like myself, and I had this very difficult, this inner critic that just wouldn't shut up. Say, you're useless, you're rubbish. And I really didn't like myself in very dark places. And at the time, I was eating a lot of junk food. I was drinking too much at weekends and all sorts. And I've started to notice patterns now and then when I suddenly feel a bit anxious, I don't feel as good or on top. And that's because of my lack of self-care. And this is definitely something I picked up from all my personal growth. Those with the most energy, those who are the most confident and charismatic that I've experienced, and you can see it's genuine, they've got these really good habits, these really healthy habits. They eat the right stuff. They've got a rich alkaline diet. What's an alkaline diet? Alkaline diet is when you've got more alkali in your system. So you have more fruit and vegetable than the acidic, sugary, processed food or alcohol when you feel eating more natural. So this is something I picked up, and today I wanted to share a few things on why it's important and how you can actually start to improve your diet to therefore improve your self-esteem. So the first one is sensitivity. If you're eating really things that are going to trigger you off, so maybe you're having too much sugar, that can make you feel a bit anxious and therefore worried about stuff. You feel a bit out of control. Or you could have too much caffeine. Now, we have different tolerances. Mine's not too bad. It used to be quite bad, but it can vary from individual to individual. If you're having something that can make you sensitive, you're not going to feel as good. So really pay attention to when you have crashes in energy or don't feel as good when you had certain foods. And also, if you've got a lack of energy, it means you're less productive. And if you're less productive, you're less likely to do the things you want to do and achieve. So therefore, that's going to impact on how you feel about you. So my first one is paying attention to what you're sensitive to. Second tip is self-love is self-care. So if you're caring, if you're consuming in the body, if you're consuming things that are not good for you, then you're giving yourself a message of, I'm not worth it. I'm not worth looking after. I've got this bad eating habits and I'm not going to look after you. And therefore that's sending quite a negative message into your system. My third point is, actually, I should have said how you address that. So on that one, make sure when you give yourself good food, also talk to yourself and say, you deserve to pat yourself on the back. You should always pat yourself on the back, by the way, when you do something right, because it encourages good behaviour. And when someone else would do it to us, not in a patronising way, of course, but when it's like itching my back then when I started saying that, but when someone else praises you, you usually feel quite good. So remember to praise yourself for these good habits as well. And if you're looking after yourself and if you have something good or you eat good, do praise yourself. Don't just forget about it. And when you have a slip up, don't over criticize yourself. Just think what you need to do differently. What's going to be different? So that's my second point. My third point is the lack of foods. Certain foods. Now you might be thinking, lack of food? You're telling us to eat more, Johnny. What I'm trying to tell you with this point, actually, even though I'd love to eat more, I can eat so much. What I'm trying to tell you is there are certain things you might be lacking in your diet, and they can play a big impact on your mood. For example, vitamin D. Vitamin D is something you get from the sun. Now, vitamin D is going to be quite rare in that source, especially in England and the UK at the moment, because it's very cloudy, very cold, very miserable. And this actually links to something called seasonal affective disorder. When you don't have as much sun, people start to get down. Now, one of these reasons can be because people don't have enough sources of things like vitamin D. And vitamin D, a lack of that, can cause things like feeling more depressed or feeling more anxious. Maybe not severe, but sometimes we can be quite severe. So therefore, you've got to make sure you're getting sources like vitamin D into your diet. And vitamin D, just I'm using this as the example, but it's a really important one, is best obtained in sources like supplements. So get a trustworthy one, talk with your doctor and everything like that if you need to. But I have a pill that covers omega-3, B12 and vitamin D, which is from Vegan Fitness, because I'm a big advocate for vegan fitness. But that covers all the sources. So make sure you're getting your right amount of foods. You can, if you're really interested in this, you can do some more research. You can perhaps speak to a nutritional expert, but make sure you're not lacking in certain sources, because that can impact on how you feel. And if you're not feeling as good, you're not going to feel as good about yourself, and therefore that's going to impact on your self-esteem. Number 4, less energy. If you're eating the wrong thing, generally, I've sort of touched on this already, but if you have a lack of food, if you're not, the lack of the right sources rather, if you're eating too much of a bad thing, you're going to have a lack of energy. Now, the body has to take more energy to break down processed foods. And if you've got a lack of energy, you're going to be less productive, you're going to be less fun to be around people, and it's going to impact on your relationships. Energy is everything. So if you're eating the wrong things, you're not going to have that energy to have a better quality of life. And therefore, if you're not having that as good quality of life and feeling good about you and connecting with other people, that is impacting on your self-esteem. So hopefully from the tips I've given you, it can help you understand why your nutrition is so important for how you feel about you. A lot of us think, and I used to think this, right, nutrition's associated with our physical health, and it is. If you eat a lot of chocolate cake and donuts and pizzas and things like that, you're probably not going to have the right body, the body you want even. But if you're eating vegetables, fruit, more natural foods, as well as exercising, of course, you're probably going to be in a better shape because of what you're eating. But mentally, how you feel about yourself is impacted as well. So those are my tips. Now, I actually had a friend, still got that friend, but I haven't spoken to as much. And I remember talking to them about how they felt, and they were in this place, they didn't feel so good, didn't feel so confident, and then they actually started eating the right things. They started adapting these habits from some of the advice or the mentoring I was giving them, and they started to lose weight, and they started feeling, I could notice a change in them. They started feeling more confident, not just because of the fact they're losing weight, it was the fact that they had more energy, they were eating the right things, they were getting rid of these bad habits of this nutrition, they were getting away these temptations from their flat when I gave them the advice to keep away the naughty treats away from your flat, and they started to feel better about themselves as a result. So that's an example. That's what I've got for you today. If you've enjoyed this video today, please be sure to share it with friends and family and give it a like. Of course, you can subscribe for more videos like this one as well. And before you go, one message as always: improve your self-esteem, improve the lives of others. And I will catch you in the next episode.